Good evening, afternoon, morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Ryan, joined by...
Brandon Graeber, how you doing?
I'm doing great. We're
Top of the morning.
Top of the morning. That's Ireland, not England.
Well, I'm Irish, so.
As am I. We're looking at the Assassin's Creed gameplay trailer that came out of Gamescom recently. Some really cool stuff in here. Most of it is just shots of London. You know, you can see Trafalgar Square right there a few minutes ago. But this is we're getting right into the meat of it.
We've already know the establishing stuff. We know about the twins. We know about the setting.
They're gang members. You got to bring all the gangs to your will. But there's some really cool little notes of stuff to expect from AC Syndicate. Starting with this.
Technology.
If you look at the top left panel, you can see this weird thing that kind of looks like a power generator. It looks like it has spools of copper wrapped around it and a large, something that looks almost like a centrifuge in the center of it, generating some kind of electricity. Now, I'm curious. Assassin's Creed has always had great inventors building new weapons and gadgets for people. Like we had Leonardo da Vinci for a very long time.
And Charles Dickens for some reason.
And apparently Charles Dickens, who I don't know if he's an inventor, but he might write some really cool stories about the assassins. But yeah, so if you look at the thing at the top left, this clearly looks like a power generator, but it doesn't look like anything that I believe existed at the time. Now, if I'm wrong, by all means, let me know.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, do you think this might go the route of the Order, where perhaps this is a machine invented by Thomas Edison or Nikola Tesla or somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the history of Assassin's Creed, they've often done things where they'll find technology before it was available.
Right.
Like when, they figured out how to use the assassin blade gun.
Yeah.
And the very first time Altair uses it, no one had ever heard of that thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could totally see them doing some using the lost technology to make advancements, and this is how the Industrial Revolution kind of boomed.
Totally.
Thanks to the Templars.
Well, hopefully that'll
I also want pictogram selfies.
I would really enjoy that, or those giant old-timey cameras.
Yes, just go Wind Waker on me. Just let me do selfies with those things.
Yeah. So skipping forward just a bit, you see some great shots of London. We've already kind of touched on this in other videos on IGN. Just going over the idea of class warfare during the Industrial Revolution, and how the rich are always preying on the poor is kind of the big cause behind that. Which
rich jerks.
Given the current climate in today's world, that's a kind of a good topic.
It's kind of a history thing.
Yeah.
It's always about rich versus
So this
poor.
is another one of those things that I'm really hoping comes back to the series because, Brendan, what's your favorite Assassin's Creed
I'm on
game?
a boat.
Exactly.
I'm on a boat.
No, stop singing.
Sorry.
Or yelling. So we can see Jacob Fry here standing on the deck of a ship down at the London docks. Now, I'm going to assume that given the scope of London and what might be the surrounding area, that we're not really going to see any naval combat like we saw earlier.
Yeah, they probably would have advertised that by now, you think.
Maybe not, though. Maybe it's just going to be a pleasant little surprise towards the middle of it.
Be nice.
I would really like to go back to the open ocean, or maybe at least just one segment of the game. But even if not, maybe fight some dudes on the deck.
I would like to have jumping from ship to ship, kind of fisticuffs. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be excellent. We're rolling forward a little more. We've seen some stuff with the rooks and the gang warfare that we know is coming.
Go back. That cane scythe.
The cane scythe, the conceive,
Oh,
if
I
you will.
want it.
So yeah, the cane weapons are going to be a big thing in Syndicate because cane swords were apparently a huge
about
deal
those
in the late
concealed
1800s. So you can see this one at the tip of her cane is actually got a scythe blade coming off of it. And then there are two other functionalities, the second being the obvious function of a cane, which is to A, help you walk, but B, also to bludgeon folks with.
Smack them up.
And then they can also become the traditional cane sword that we know of. Here, this, though, is easily my
this gets me
favorite part of the trailer.
Pretty excited that if I can do this at any point in the game, just jump on one train, go, I want to go on that train and jump 40 stories down.
Yeah, the interesting idea is because all the Assassin's Creed always deal with moving forward in technology and the times and the way things work for society in general, and the advent of the locomotive was huge for that. It made getting cargo and goods and people around much easier. So it makes sense that we can see that here, except for the fact that his legs would so clearly be broken.
Assassin's Creed magic.
Well, the other thing that I want to note here before we move on is that this does not look to be in London.
Yeah, I
London
mean,
is clearly a city, and this is clearly out in the woods someplace.
yeah, I would totally expect us to go somewhere on the outskirts. I mean, every Assassin's Creed had that main area
Yep,
and a
Unity
lot of
had
smaller
Versailles,
areas.
and Rome had that other place.
There was Venice, there was
Yeah.
Rome, there was all those places, and like even Assassin's Creed 4 you had the smaller islands. So yeah, I could see them going like, hey, let's go in the countryside for a bit,
Yeah, I think that'd be
some
great.
smaller towns.
We can see here that Jacob Fry is standing in what looks to be a burning theater. Now
Reminds me of the one from Assassin's Creed 3, the one at the very beginning of the game.
maybe that'll be a nice little nod.
Yeah.
Back to that. You can like see Edward Kenway's ghost just being like, "Oh no, I'm burning alive." But no, the thing is, like you mentioned this to me earlier, is that theater fires were weirdly prevalent during this time period.
Yeah,
like, it would seem like you would build a theater and it would burn down,
and they build it up again, it would burn down again. So
exactly.
It's hard to pinpoint if this is a particular theater. I think it may be the Theater Royale.
Yeah.
Which did burn down in the late 1800s, like 1887-ish, and they did note that it burned down for whatever reason.
Yep.
And like almost, I think, 200 people died in that fire,
That's awful.
including a lot of the lower class citizens.
Yeah.
Because they had come in for the second part of the act because the
Because
tickets
that's how
were
you
cheaper.
get cheap tickets.
Yes.
And what else are you going to do if you're a poor guy in 1800s?
Yeah, and this could be one of those whole like history bending moments where it could have seemed like a harmless accident, or is it a temple orchestrated event?
Right, because they love doing that in this franchise.
Yeah, they love being jerks
taking
to
specific
people.
moments from history and turning them into important plot points. So maybe this is an act of aggression towards the lower class by the Templars, or worse yet, an act of sabotage on the Templars by the assassins gone awry.
Mm-hmm.
If it is that one, though, it like you said, it burned down in the 1880s, I believe, which would signify a time jump. We see some great action here. Evie using her new Assassin's Gauntlet Hidden Blade.
And face smashing.
And face smashing. This is actually something I'm really excited for, because the last few Assassin's Creed games, it's always been sword combat. You used a rapier in Unity. You had a
Cutlass in 4.
Cutlass and Black Flag. But this Syndicate seems to focus a lot on face punching.
Yep.
We know brass knuckles are a part of the Assassin's Gauntlet.
Yep.
Like, they place a big emphasis on just punching dudes with your own hands.
Or punching dudes with other dudes' faces.
With other dudes' faces, like this guy.
Boosh!
Bam! But this actually is a really interesting possible new mechanic.
It gives me a Batman Arkham contextual vibe, whereas where depending on what you're doing, you could have a totally different kind of fight style.
Exactly. So, like, instead of just punching this guy, I choose to, use him against his friend, and that way I take out 2 enemies as opposed to just the one.
Oh, yeah.
And then we've got the zip lines, which are returning. We saw recently in a gameplay demo that you can not only use... you've got a rope launcher.
You've got the bat launcher.
You've got the bat launcher. You've got the rope launcher hooked into your Assassin's Gauntlet. But we've also learned recently that you can not only use it just as a grappling hook, but you can also use it to create makeshift zip lines between 2 points.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because London is such a vertical and wide city. It's huge.
Yeah.
So it'll be really great to go through that and really see how it changes up the traversal mechanics.
Definitely. Also, worst stealth moment. How can you not see that shadow passing by your face?
Right? We get some more carriage combat, some stabbing of folks, and more trains.
Yeah,
See,
train running.
I'm super excited to just jump from train to train. We can see on Evie's gauntlet here, she's got that vial of what looks to be either poison or crazy green knockout gas.
Yep, something like
which
that.
Will probably be one of her new poison darts. And yeah, the rest of it is kind of stuff that we've seen before.
Also, at the very end, we got some.
I just want to point this out.
Of course.
I know it's just a shadow.
Big boss
but
Evie Fry.
I'm just saying, Evie Fry would look rad with an eye patch. So, Ubisoft, if you're listening to this, which I don't know why you would be, you should really consider giving her an eye patch, even if it's just cosmetic.
Sure. Let's go for that.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
you were
that's
saying
fine.
something
At the end of here, we see this wonderful shooting sequence.
Yeah. So,
usually, Evie's kind of the stealth character, but she has this really odd-looking pistol.
So that's the thing, is like you can see if we click forward, Jacob uses
the classic six-shooter.
The classic revolver, which is a very popular gun during the late 1800s. But Evie's gun, if we track forward, this rad leap of faith off of Big Ben, it doesn't have the classic 6-shooter cylinder.
Yeah,
so it looks almost like, again, this might be one of the new inventions of the time, created for the Assassins or for the Templars. But it looks like this might actually be a precursor to the semi-automatic pistol, either the Mauser or a Luger or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see how this turns out.
It might just be cut that way to make it seem like it fires quickly, but it fires off, and it looks like it could be a new weapon type.
Pretty
and
fast.
That would be a very different type of weapon, because if it used to be in Assassin's Creed, you would have to fire your gun once, reload it, or pull out a different gun. And now if you've got the capability to say, I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots, you could take out an entire group of guys in like one go.
Yeah. And
so
there you have it.
That is the new trailer for Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which I think comes out sometime in October.
Yep. Soon.
We're super excited. Hopefully you guys are too, or if not, that's okay as well. But for everything else in Assassin's Creed Syndicate and all of the games that came before it, where should we keep our hook blades
You
hooked
can
to?
zip line right over to IGN.
Woo!